Hey Flock, the Ravens season start is far from what we all expected. With 2 straight losses and growing pressure on Lamar Jackson, things are getting worrying. Stephen A. Smith has pointed the finger at the quarterback, and Coach John Harbaugh had to defend his star player. But can these problems turn into something even more serious? Stick with me until the end of this video to find out how these issues could affect the Ravens' future and what can be done to turn things around. Go Ravens! Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back when discussing the Ravens' rough start this season. He went straight to the point, blaming Lamar Jackson, saying that as a 2-time MVP, Lamar should be securing wins for the team, especially when they're ahead on the scoreboard. Stephen believes Jackson needs to take more responsibility, as being such an important player also means stepping up in crucial moments when the team needs it the most. According to Stephen A., what bothers him the most is seeing Lamar's team lose games that were almost won. He questioned how a quarterback of Jackson's caliber lets the team lose a lead in the fourth quarter. After all, when you have a player considered one of the best in the league, it's expected that he makes a difference in those moments. And according to Smith, this season's start shows Lamar hasn't delivered as expected. To make matters worse, Lamar is facing a wave of criticism due to these details. In both games the Ravens lost, the opportunities were there, but Jackson couldn't keep control. This kind of scrutiny won't go away until he proves on the field that he can change the outcome of games. This brings us to the most painful loss for the fans, the one against the Chiefs in the season opener. The season opener was a real test for the Ravens, and they almost managed to beat the reigning champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. But despite a strong performance, mistakes at the end weighed heavily. Lamar Jackson had the chance to tie or even win the game in the final seconds, but he missed 2 passes in the end zone that could have changed everything. One of those passes was completed to Isaiah Likely, but his foot was out of bounds, so the touchdown didn't count. These small details make all the difference. Stephen A. Smith highlighted this moment as a major reason to criticize Jackson. He believes that in big games like this, against such a strong team, the quarterback needs to be nearly perfect. Unfortunately, Lamar couldn't deliver. Mistakes like these, especially in the final seconds, are the kind of thing that makes the difference between a winning team and one that falls short. For Stephen, it was a missed opportunity, and he put the blame on Jackson. This game against the Chiefs left a bitter taste, but things only got worse the following week. Losing to the champions was frustrating, but the loss to the Raiders was even more painful. The team had a good lead in the fourth quarter, but let the win slip away again, and Lamar's responsibility was questioned once more. The game against the Raiders in Week 2 seemed like it would be the Ravens' redemption. With a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, it looked like the team would secure their first win of the season. But surprisingly, the Raiders scored 13 straight points and turned the game around. The defense faltered, and the offense simply couldn't respond. For Stephen A. Smith, once again, the blame fell on Lamar Jackson, who, according to him, needs to find a way to hold on to the game in those moments. During the fourth quarter, the Ravens' offense couldn't produce on drives that could have sealed the game. Jackson and the offense ended up going 3 and out and then couldn't advance enough on their last attempt to reverse the score. Of course, not everything was on Lamar, as the offensive line didn't provide the best protection, and a mistake by Derrick Henry led to a critical penalty. But Stephen A. argues that in critical moments, the quarterback needs to find solutions, even when things aren't perfect around him. This losing streak has brought up a concerning statistic. It's the first time Lamar Jackson has lost 3 games in a row in his career. Between the AFC Championship loss and the first 2 games of this season, he hasn't been able to avoid defeat. This raises an important question about the current state of his career and what needs to change to get back to winning. This 3-game losing streak is something new in Lamar Jackson's career. Since the AFC Championship game, through the first 2 games of the season, he hasn't been able to turn things around for the Ravens. For a player who has been a 2-time MVP, this situation is, at the very least, concerning. Stephen A. Smith has brought this point up, questioning how a quarterback with Lamar's resume can let the team go through this phase without changing the results. For many, this raises doubts about what's happening with Lamar. He has always been known for making incredible plays and winning games. But in these last 3 losses, he hasn't delivered. Stephen A. highlights that when it comes to great players, especially those with million-dollar contracts, the expectation is for them to shine in high-pressure moments. However, in this season's start, Lamar hasn't managed to deliver that. Still, Coach John Harbaugh doesn't share this view. He has defended Jackson, arguing that the quarterback has been the team's best player so far. For Harbaugh, the blame isn't solely on Lamar, and other factors have contributed to the losses. But is the coach's defense enough to take the pressure off the player? This leads us to the point where Harbaugh defends his main leader. In the face of all this pressure, Coach John Harbaugh hasn't stayed silent. He quickly came to Lamar Jackson's defense, stating that the quarterback has been the team's best player so far. According to Harbaugh, despite the losses, Lamar is doing everything he can to keep the team competitive and leading the offense with determination. For him, the problems the team has faced in these first 2 weeks go beyond Jackson's performance. Harbaugh pointed out issues with the offensive line and defense as key factors in the losses. Against the Raiders, for example, the defense gave up many points in the final quarter, and the offensive line failed at crucial moments, leaving Lamar with little time to make necessary plays. Additionally, penalties like the one from Derrick Henry further complicated things. Harbaugh believes that blaming only Jackson is unfair, as football is a team sport and everyone needs to improve. However, even though Harbaugh defends his quarterback, criticism continues from all sides. While Jackson remains a key player for the Ravens' success or failure, he knows he needs to step up on the field, starting with the next game. With 2 straight losses, what remains to be seen is if the team can turn things around and if Lamar can prove he's still the leader capable of leading the Ravens to victory. The string of losses has left marks not just on the field, but also in the Ravens' locker room. The team's morale, crucial for good performance, is at stake. Players are visibly struggling with the pressure and stress, which can negatively impact team spirit. In a season with high expectations, frustration is starting to spread among the athletes. The locker room environment is crucial for any team's success. Disheartenment and tension can affect team chemistry and confidence, potentially worsening the situation. Team leaders, such as Lamar Jackson and other veterans, need to find ways to boost morale and maintain group cohesion. The ability to keep the team united during tough times will be a key factor in turning things around. This issue of team morale leads us to consider how leadership and group dynamics may need to be adjusted. If the team cannot overcome this phase, losses could start piling up and impact on-field performance. Will the Ravens manage to regain their spirit and return to playing with the confidence needed to win? Stay tuned to see how the team plans to bounce back and what changes are being made to tackle the current challenges. So, fan, after all this analysis, what do you think? Can the Ravens turn things around and overcome this rough patch? Does Lamar Jackson have what it takes to respond to the criticism and guide the team to victories? Or could the challenges faced now turn into bigger problems for the season? Share your thoughts in the comments and let us know what you think about the team's current situation. Let's keep a close watch and hope things improve quickly. See you in the next video.